Ever wish Disney would bring back your favorite snacks or change their decision about canceling your favorite show or changing that ride you absolutely love? Well, sometimes Disney actually listens and makes a change. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. Today we're talking about some of the times Disney World has actually gone back for a do-over. Things are always changing in the parks. Sometimes people love it, and sometimes they riot over a purple dragon. The people have spoken. These are the times Disney World gave in to demands. Now, Disney World takes a lot of different things into account when deciding whether or not something is successful or needs a change. Primarily, guests are voting with their wallets. If no one buys a certain dish or snack, it likely won't stick around on the menu for too long. Alternatively, if something repeatedly sells out, Disney knows they've got a slam dunk, and they're probably going to keep it around. On top of that, Disney does take into account direct feedback from guests. If there's something you love or miss that's not around anymore, tweet at WDW Guest Service or at Walt Disney World, email guest relations, or chat with a cast member through the Disney World website. Or you can speak to a guest relations cast member in the park, or you can call 407-939-6104 with comments on your past trip. There are plenty of ways to get in contact with Disney, more than there ever have been before, and Disney does take into account guest feedback. Don't forget, they may actually send you a survey when you get home. Be sure to take the survey. And if you'd like something changed, and if a lot of other people are feeling the same way, Disney has actually taken that into account and changed some things up. So let's talk about a few times they gave in to guest demands. All right, first one is that Citrus Swirl coming back. So Citrus Swirl, by the way, is a tart frozen orange juice slush with a vanilla soft serve. So it's like, I guess it's not really a slush. It's definitely more of a soft serve consistency, but it's like frozen orange juice instead of creamy. And they're swirled together and it's totally delicious. And you've got that tart frozen orange juice and that sweet, sweet vanilla soft serve ice cream. It's real good. Anyway, this one's got a slightly complicated past. This is an Adventureland classic in Magic Kingdom. And it was gone from the parks for a bit and replaced by an orange Dole Whip substitute that was not quite the same, not even close actually. But in 2012, it returned to Sunshine Tree Terrace in Adventureland in its original recipe, and we were so jazzed. Now, things were good for a while until the Citrus Swirl saga of 2018. In March, the Citrus Swirl was gone from the menu at Sunshine Tree Terrace once again and replaced by the sweeter, creamier orange Dole Whip. Now, Disney wanted to present a sweeter alternative to that super tart treat, but not everyone, especially us at DFB, were loving this version. So after just 5 days, the Magic Kingdom kiosk had changed up their menu board once again to display the classic and beloved Citrus Swirl, and for a time the menu featured both the orange and the Citrus Swirl. Now, new Dole Whip flavors have become more commonplace at Disney World over the past 2 years, and we love all the options, just don't mess with our classics. Now, how about those Photopass camera boxes? This was a big deal last year, you guys. There have been a few iterations of those Photopass camera boxes or automated cameras, kind of like a photo booth. But when Disney installed one at Mickey's Meet and Greet in Magic Kingdom so that a Photopass photographer wasn't taking your picture, it was this photo box instead, the backlash began. These camera boxes debuted at Star Wars Launch Bay years ago, and they expanded in September 2019 to include Mickey and Tinkerbell's meet and greets in Magic Kingdom and Anna and Elsa's meet and greets in Epcot. Now, the truth is people really do prefer a real photographer when capturing their special vacation moments. So a photo booth machine, little box thing that just takes a random bunch of photos at once, that's never going to capture those candid moments the way a real photographer will. And at DFB, we wrote a big, long post about it and what the differences were. And we showed photos of the photo box pictures and then the Photopass photographer pictures. It's just a totally different story. Now, there were even petitions to roll back the use of the camera boxes, and at least up until the parks closed in March 2020, Disney had rolled back the use of the camera boxes and still had Photopass photographers taking the shots at these meet and greets. Now, we're going to have to wait and see what happens once those character meet and greets return to the parks. We know there have been a lot of layoffs. We know that Disney's really cutting costs, and this might be a way that they could continue to cut costs. We'll have to wait and see if those Photopass camera boxes return. All right, let's talk about the dog-friendly hotel rooms here. The dog-friendly room program at the Disney World resorts had kind of a shaky start, or at least a very under-the-radar start. In 2017, Disney World started a test program that allowed dogs to accompany their owners at certain Disney resorts in specific certain rooms. The program was intended to last 1 year to see if there was a demand for pet-friendly rooms at the resorts and to work out any kinks with the rules for those guests and their pets. Disney World has a pet daycare and boarding facility on site, but this was the first time dogs were allowed to stay in Disney World hotels, something that is a pretty common practice among other hotel groups. Service animals, of course, fall under a different classification, but these new rules applied if you wanted to bring the family pet along on vacation. Now, Disney announced that the pilot program would be ending in October 2018, but 1 month later announced it would become a permanent offering. These dog-friendly rooms can be found at Port Orleans Riverside, Art of Animation, Yacht Club, and the Fort Wilderness Cabins right now. There is a nightly fee, which includes a pet amenities kit, and rooms are limited to having 2 doggy guests. But it was really interesting that they kind of had the program, then they didn't have the program, and the program came back, and it was all really under the radar. It's very, very interesting. But even though this is a very niche offering, guests clearly made it obvious to Disney that they wanted it. All right, now here we gotta go way back for this one. Pirates of the Caribbean opening in Disney World. Originally, this now iconic and classic Disney World attraction wasn't gonna open on the East Coast. Walt Disney thought Florida wouldn't care for a pirate-themed attraction since it was already so close to the Caribbean anyway, because that means you see pirates all the time in Florida, apparently. Now, that's flawed logic, but guests wanted to know why the hit attraction from Disney's California Park wasn't coming to Florida when so many other iconic rides were. Well, a large portion of visitors coming to Disney World are not from Florida, so the demand is definitely still there. Although, again, do Floridians encounter a lot of pirates in their daily life? No, so Floridians wanted it too. In any case, Disney rushed through construction and opened the ride just 2 years after the Magic Kingdom opened. All right, another food one for you. Let's talk chicken and waffles. Now, this one started as a food hack at the Grand Floridian Cafe that we featured on DisneyFoodblog.com. They had waffles and they had awesome fried chicken on the menu, so why not combine them? And this is one of our favorite brunch locations at Disney World, and this quickly became one of our must-get dishes. Apparently, you guys loved it too. This dish was requested so often that it ended up on the official menu. Now, the menu is a bit limited right now, so this is once again a secret menu item, at least for the time being. Normally, it's going to come with a standard regular shaped waffle, but you can request for it to be made with a Mickey waffle, of course. And we love the fact that this also comes with a honey sriracha, or a sriracha honey, however you want to call it, but it's a hot honey and it's real, real good. Oh, you know we needed to talk about Ohana here, right? Ohana is one of the great divisive restaurants of Disney World, and this is another classic snack debacle or noodle apocalypse. People love Ohana at the Polynesian Village Resort and are super bummed that it's still closed right now. But when it comes to Ohana, what's not to like? Endless Hawaiian-inspired dishes, dumplings, skewers, stir-fried veggies, and those nudes. The noodles at Ohana are kind of a big deal. People love them, and there was quite a bit of an uproar when they were briefly replaced by fried rice for a couple of days. Now, before I go on, let me just give you a little background, a little history. Before the noodles even, and a lot of you don't know this, before the noodles even happened, they had gratin potatoes. They had cheesy potatoes on the menu at Ohana. Why? I don't know. Do they eat a lot of cheesy potatoes in Hawaii? Maybe. But they were real, real good. But they switched those out for the noodles and everyone freaked out. But they kept the noodles. Now, when they tried to switch the noodles to rice, it was bedlam, you guys. Now, yes, fried rice is delicious. But if you've had those noodles before, you know there's no comparison. After all, we visit Tambu Lounge right next door to Ohana just to order the noodles, which aren't even officially on the menu, but they'll give them to you if you ask. So, the curried fried rice was only on offer for a few days. I can actually remember being in Disney World. I was staying at Bay Lake Tower, and oh my goodness, readers texted me and they said, "You'll never believe what's happening right now." Anyway, we wrote a post about it. A lot of people talked about it, and I actually talked to a few cast members who said, "Hey, we're just testing the rice, relax." And because the outcry from guests was so loud and swift, those noodles came back real quickly and we haven't seen rice since. So thank goodness that particular Polynesian Village Resort staple is still intact. Now, another fan favorite that came back because people were asking for it, again, if enough people request it, Disney might listen, is that frozen brown elephant. Now, you don't know what I'm talking about? No worries. We will fill you in. The refreshment outpost in Epcot probably isn't what you think of when you think of classic and iconic Disney eats, right? You probably don't even know where it is. Many of you have probably walked right past it. By the way, it's between China and Germany. It's where you'll find all those drums your kids have wanted to play with. And it's where Disney has always sort of planned on having an Africa pavilion. So the frozen brown elephant is frozen Coca-Cola mixed with milk and creamy amarula liqueur, kind of like an adult cream soda. It's been around since the 2013 Food and Wine Festival, and we were bummed to see it missing after the parks reopened. It's still not quite on the menu, but the amarula has returned so that these drinks can be made once again if you ask for a secret menu, kind of, can you make me a frozen brown elephant? Which may or may not be because one of our frozen brown elephant loving DFB team members would ask about it every single time they went past. Usually when things are just returning, or if Disney is testing out whether or not to make a permanent item, they may not list it or will often have a mini sign or placard to display the potentially temporary food item. So if you want something to be there, if you want a combination of ingredients to be there, you can always ask about it and request that it comes in. And the more people who request it, the more likely Disney is to make it happen. This happened with the Kakamora float, also over at Magic Kingdom, which was originally a holiday Dole Whip float just for the Christmas parties, but then it was eventually added more permanently, and it's still there today. It's already come back after the reopening, so people are really loving that. That's the one, by the way, that is coconut soft serve, pineapple juice, and blue curacao over there in the Magic Kingdom at Aloha Isle. So again, if there's something that you loved on a Disney menu that's gone, you can ask for it and see if they can make it. If they can't make it, you can ask for it and request that it come back. We really do think that Disney listens, and the more people that ask for something, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. All right, speaking of, let's talk about the return of that little purple dragon Figment. Journey into Imagination is not the most exciting ride in Epcot, but it's definitely not a top tier ride. You can pretty much always ride with a minimal wait, but people love that purple dragon, and it's definitely not because of the current ride. There have been a few iterations of Journey into Imagination in Epcot. The first, Journey into Imagination, is the classic with the rainbow tunnel exit, awesome effects and animatronics, Dream Finder, the original Figment, totally different storyline. And if you're an OG Epcot kid like me, this is a ride you know and love. But in 1999, it was replaced with Journey into Your Imagination, which removed Figment, completely changed the story, and on a whole, made a lot of people really, really mad. The ride was shut down and reworked after 2 years and reopened as Journey into Imagination with Figment. Basically, that purple dragon was added back in, but things are definitely not as they were in the original ride. So yes, we think guest demand did bring Figment back, but unfortunately it wasn't enough to bring everything back. Still don't have that Dream Finder. But this isn't the only time guest reactions have changed rides around Disney World. The Tiki Room under new management was not terribly well received, and the original attraction returned without Iago or Zazu. Extraterrestrial Alien Encounter was deemed way too scary for Magic Kingdom's Tomorrowland and was swapped out with Stitch's Great Escape, which was also not too popular with guests, and the building is now empty. And of course, there's the story of Snow White's Scary Adventures, which was before just Snow White's Adventures. But very quickly, Disney realized that this was much too scary for small children, and so he needed to warn them that it's actually Scary Adventures. So that's why Scary was added to Snow White's Scary Adventures. And if you want to test that one out, you can still ride this ride in Disneyland. It's no longer in Disney World, but you can still ride it in Disneyland, and it is, in fact, very scary. All right, let's go back on the food track and talk about plastic cheese. Time for another snack saga, y'all. Plastic cheese, which is our name, of course, for that melty, bright orange, cheesy dipping sauce, that topping that kind of looks like it might not really be food and there's not any real food ingredients in it. That's why I call it plastic cheese. But we're going to eat it anyway because it's just so good. Well, yes, that vanished nearly overnight from Disney World in 2015. You used to find this stuff topping French fries and hot dogs and on self-service toppings bars all over the parks. Suddenly it was gonzo. Until 2017, that is. It first popped up again at Casey's Corner, where it was listed on the menu as a side of cheese sauce for $1. And it later appeared on more menus around the resort, mostly places you'd find fries and hot dogs like Cosmic Rays, Backlot Express, etc. Gone are the self-serve pumps and any toppings bars for the moment, but at least you can once again get that melty, gooey plastic cheese. Now, we think this happened because there was actually a lawsuit regarding the cheese being too hot and Disney got rid of it altogether. But now it's back and that's great. And if you love plastic cheese as much as I do, we actually have a plastic cheese t-shirt in our t-shirt store. You can head over to dfbstore.com, click on the box that says check out our t-shirts, or you can just look below on the shelf below this video. We've got a link to all of our t-shirts and masks right there. Okay, let's talk quickly about the Main Street Electrical Parade. Now, am I sure that this has happened because of guest demand? No, but I would love to think that it did, or at least it had something to do with it. So this parade will probably never truly go away. It's gone on hiatus and come back. It's jumped from coast to coast. It even showed up on Dancing with the Stars. Other nighttime parades have come and gone, but this one keeps returning. Even Tokyo Disneyland has a version. The parade first debuted in Disneyland and ran from 1972 to 1996. The Magic Kingdom version ran from 1977 to 1991, and again from 1999 to 2001 as part of the Millennium Celebration. Now, this is legit the same parade. They just shipped the floats back and forth across the country. Now, from there, it went back to California Adventure, where it ran from 2001 to 2010, then back to Magic Kingdom, where it ran until 2016, and again, back to the West Coast for a limited run in Disneyland in 2017, and again in 2019. September 30th was the last run of the parade last year, and it has since been moved to storage. Now, while there are no nighttime parades right now, or any daytime parades, honestly, since the parks reopened, this is something Disney will likely keep in their back pocket or warehouse to bring out for special occasions. But everybody knows this is a classic. Everybody loves it, even if some of those floats are terrifying. And finally, let's talk about Spaceship Earth. Okay, this one probably has a lot of factors, but we know the public outcry had something to do with it as well. Spaceship Earth in Epcot, that quintessential ride that's right there in that geodesic sphere, was intended to close in May of 2020 for a major multi-year renovation that would completely change this opening day Epcot attraction. The narration, the scenes, even the overall message and theme of the ride were going to change, and people weren't going to get to ride the original one last time due to the closures in March. Thankfully, when the parks reopened in July, Spaceship Earth reopened with them, and the refurbishment was officially postponed. No word on when things may pick up again for that, but for now, you can go ride the original for at least a little while longer. Now, with social media giving guests a platform to speak directly to Disney, we all have the opportunity to voice our opinion, and it's easier than ever to do so now. While Disney hasn't come right out and said that these changes are due to pressure from guests, they're never going to say that, by the way, there's no doubt that guest demand does drive decisions that the company makes. We've heard from cast members plenty of times who firmly believe that the more Disney hears about guests wanting something to come back, the faster it might actually return. If guests don't like something, they won't ride it or eat it or buy it, and Disney definitely notices that. Again, there are a ton of ways to get your opinions in front of cast members who can pass your message along to the right person. Tweet at WDW Guest Service or at Walt Disney World. Email or speak with guest relations, or talk to a cast member. We've heard from cast members at the Spring Roll Cart in Magic Kingdom and Gourmet Popcorn Cart in Epcot, and both of these have reopened now. Disney may be a huge company, but they can't do it without the guests, and your opinions can and do affect what happens in the parks. Thanks for listening, you guys. Thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.